All right, we're
live.
We're live. Hey, everybody, it's Derek
and Lizzie,
and we've got a lot of friends. We're going to go around the room. I think if I go this way, we'll go to that guy over there, clockwise.
There's three of us. I don't know if that means me or
right here. James.
I think it means me. Hey, James. You may have remembered me. Below me is Ruel.
Yeah, hi, I'm Ruel Gaviola. You can find me on the Rado Runs Through channel, Good Looking Kickstars with Becca Scott, and my own Twitch channel, Tabletop Tonight. And I'm going to throw it over to that guy right there, Jimmy.
Hey, I'm Jimmy. I'm over on Board Game Closet and excited to be here today to talk about some good games. Let's do it, huh?
Yeah, we're gonna kick this off. This is our favorite games of 2021, and this is going to be a little different. We're not going to do a top 10 of each of us. We're going to go around. Talking about probably we're hoping to get through 5 games, but the rest of this list will be posted online to the social medias. So if there's a game that you're like, oh, I can't believe they didn't talk about this. Well, you know what? Maybe you should, hold off. You might see it on the list when it's posted.
Or yell at us. That's fine too.
All right, sure. Go for it. Tell us why we're wrong. That's even better. Tell us in the comments what we missed. James, why don't you start us off? Now, do you want to go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, or do you just want to start off hot with your favorite?
That's
game
what I want to do. I like countdowns in my book.
Let's go.
Do we want to go around and everybody do their number 5, everybody do number 4, and we just we break it up that way?
Yeah, I like it.
So this is where if we had a really awesome graphics team or edit, it'd be like number 5, right? So for me, my number 5 was Red Rising. A big fan of the book series. I actually only picked it up. It's really weird. I bought the book before Jamie announced this, right? And I'd wanted to read it because I was like, dystopian space sounds cool. But it sat on my bookshelf forever. And then when he announced it, I was like, okay, I'm reading it. Got it read. And then I've read the first. I'm on the 4th book now. There's 5 in the series. Great series if you like that sort of thing. It gets really good in book 2. So if you're like, book 1 was okay, get to book 2 and book 3. They're like, they're real good.
Get your heart ripped out a few times.
Specifically though, for the game, I really enjoy the card play in the game. It's really different. It's really weird. There's a lot going on. Every game is vastly, vastly different. It's easy to set up and get played. And everybody in our house likes it. So that made it a top played game, right? We probably played it 20 or 25 times, and that doesn't happen with a lot of games for us. So.
Wow.
That's a lot of plays.
It was just easy. Like we would just leave it out on the table, right? And I'm like, who wants to play tonight? And they're like, yep. So we'd set it up and play. So
that's really cool.
So number 5 for me was Red Rising.
Awesome.
Should
I go next? All right.
Yeah. What you got?
My number 5 is an expansion for Twilight Imperium called Twilight Imperium Prophecy of Kings.
Okay.
Now, this contributed to my longest ever played game. I played this game for 12 hours back in November. So I played it exactly one time, and it was mind-blowing. It was, if you're a fan of Twilight Imperium, I would say this is a must-get, but I'm not going to lie, you've got to put some time into it. This is not a filler game. This is not a 3-hour game. This is a full day of gaming. You got to plan for snack breaks. You need to plan for nap breaks. You need all the breaks you get. Yeah.
Listen, I got to take 30. All right, I'll be back.
Exactly. And the thing is, I played with normally these Twilight Imperium games, it'll take long because there's usually at least one new player. I played a 6-player game with all veteran players. It still took us 12 hours. So not to scare anyone off, but it is a commitment. And maybe you can say that you need to be committed for playing this type of game. But,
no, it's good.
But it's so good. It's everything I love about Twilight Imperium. It's epic. It's a space opera in a box. And that's why it's my number 5 game of last year.
Wow. No, I get it. Yeah.
Tom Matson over here, he gets it. Nap breaks, they're essential.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Well, hey, we've got Tom in my group, not this Tom, but my Tom from my game group. He takes naps when we explain rules. So he gets them in no matter the game room. So we love Tom. And we just know that that's part of playing games with Tom.
Nice.
I love you, Tom. Don't yell at
me. Jimmy, what's your number 5?
Number 5 is Juicy Fruits. Y'all played this one, right?
Oh,
my goodness.
Great game.
We were talking originally, we were trying to figure out how we were going to do this list, and we batted around an idea of all of us throwing in one game that had to be on the list, and this was mine. So it's not my number one game of the year, but it was the game that I thought it's got to make it onto the list, and it's just so good. It's just this cool game about sliding these things around the board, and it's so stinking satisfying to just slide it across the board and get a whole bunch of stuff. And it's almost like a puzzle where you're trying to figure out, if I slide this one here and then I'm going to slide that one over there to get what you need to turn it in to get you some amazing victory points that we all love. It's just a great fun game with some really cool chunky components. They're not necessarily special, but they're just cool and nice and big, right? So it's a great game. You should pick it up.
And you'll see that one on my top 10, not in my top 5, but there's a little sneak peek. But Lizzie and I loved playing that one.
We did. We enjoyed it. We played it quite a few times.
Yeah, it was really fun.
And then we had to learn all the fruit because it's
you're
like
right.
tropical fruit. So like we're looking up what is a mango seed.
What is a
mango? So that was fun to be introduced to some new fruits that we hadn't heard of before.
I'll be honest, I thought they made it up. So now I'm learning something right now.
No, they're real.
It's all real.
They're real fruits.
One cool thing I did like about Juicy Fruits as well, it has a really cool solo mode. If anyone's out there in the solo games, it's really easy to implement. You basically just turn over one of the player boards and you just have this little track that you go around, and you have like a limited number of turns to try to get as many points as you can. Really fun solo mode. I've only played the basic solo mode. There's another one that's a little more advanced, but I lost to the basic mode, so I'm sort of like, I need to slow my roll.
You're like, we need to try a few more times. And
you admitted it. Well, you admitted. Okay, I like it. I like it. What was your number 5?
My number 5 is Funfair. We really enjoy Unfair, but I don't enjoy all the mean stuff, so we always play with World Peace. So Funfair just really fixes that problem for us. It streamlines some stuff, adds just a few new things to make it feel different, and I think it's fantastic.
Yeah,
I love the building of your park, and then you can add like all the upgrades and all the things to your roller coasters or your sideshows or whatever you have, and it's a lot of fun.
It's really satisfying with all the card combos. It really is a very, and Unfair is the same in that way to me.
Yeah,
but you're right. There's definitely some there could be some feel bads.
It can be mean. It can be very mean, and I do not like mean games.
That's true.
That's true. Mean,
but here's the thing, though. Like, you're just a lot better at games. So like, if you're mean in a game, you're just gonna crush me even worse. So I'm okay with let's play
also,
nice.
Like, I'm very focused on my own board. So like, when something gets messed up, I'm like, no, I have it planned out for the next 5 turns, and now you've just like ruined everything. So
no,
I've heard that about Funfair. I've heard a lot of people say it's a nicer version of Unfair. So did they just take that stuff, or is there like new elements as well?
They updated like a couple things. They streamlined some stuff, so it's not exactly the same game. So
cool.
If you learned how to play Unfair, you can seamlessly slip into Funfair pretty easily. But there are new things.
There are some changes. Yeah.
I would say Funfair for me is streamlined is a great way to put it. Right, like it's easier and faster to get to the table, and it's a quicker teach. But it is essentially the same game. I think for me though, Unfair, like with all the expansions that it has,
and they're in Kickstarter right now with more.
Yeah, the new one.
Because I think there is a mode.
Expansions
correct me if I'm wrong. There is a game mode where you can turn off the attack.
You can. Yeah, that's the world piece.
Yeah, so like that's typically when we play with that.
Yeah. I would just want to say, like, I've had a lot of people say, "Oh, do I want Unfair or Funfair?" I think there's room for both, because Funfair is more streamlined. But if you want to go like massive, like bigger presence with a lot of expansions, and get Unfair.
There's so many choices. There's so many combos.
I like having both in my collection. So
I just have to be prepared that people might be.
Funfair's a smaller box too, so I can just throw the backpack, and Unfair's kind of big. So
nice. Yeah.
Okay, Derek, what is your number 5?
My number 5 game of the year is Hadrian's Wall from Garfield Games. This one for me completely changed what a roll and write can do, or a flip and write, whatever, X and right. Like the fact that this was one of the heaviest flip and writes that I'd ever played and incorporated worker placement into it completely flipped that genre on its head. And this to me is a classic. I will have this in my collection for a long time. It's so
Talk about a game that made me take a nap. Hadrian's Wall, and it's not because I was bored. It was because my brain turned to mush. And I was like, I literally need to power down for a little while and let my brain reset because it was just like there's so
That
many
is
things to mark off.
definitely a nap game.
Yeah,
like,
when they
right
were, like,
afterwards.
explaining it, I
coming
was
out of
like-
my ears when I was playing it. I was like, I don't know what to do.
There's a lot happening. There's
I
a lot
know.
happening. But I love that. I love the systems and the levers and all these like intricate ins and outs.
And if you've played Shem's other games,
right.
it is a lot easier to pick up because if you played Architects and if you played Paladins, like
yeah.
you understand his symbology and how it works together. And so they always look like a lot. And then as you get through them, you're like, okay, I see this. That works together.
That's
I
what
understand.
savants say, Lizzie. Savants
But
say that. They say, oh, it looks like it is a lot. And for us,
It is. It still is a lot,
it's
but
a lot after you get used to it.
I literally have a copy of Hadrian's Wall on the way right now. I can't wait to play it. I've been dying to play it for a while. I just played Three Sisters, which was another Crunchyroll, right? And I was like James, like my first game, my steam was coming out of my head. There was so many combos. Like in Three Sisters, they literally have a space on your scorecard for notes. You can take notes what combos. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's like homework. But I love it. It's fantastic, and that's why I'm looking forward to Hadrian's Wall as well. I know it's kind of similar.
It is. It is. You're gonna enjoy that really well.
For sure.
Number 4, James.
Number 4 for me is Cascadia. For me, there's a lot of games that do these mechanisms, right? The whole, like, we're going to pair up different things together and you're picking this combo of thing and then you're putting it down into your tableau in some way that's advantageous for yourself. There's a lot of games that do this in a lot of different ways. For me, I think Cascadia, there's something special about it, that really makes it stick out amongst everybody else. And I can't, other than this, it's very pleasant to look at. And it's very easy to set up and get played. And this is going to sound bad, but I've only ever played the family scoring version. I've never played any of the other 87 different scoring combos they have in the game because we just really enjoy. I'm just mostly playing it with Sandra and Parker and Stella, and so we don't need it to get more complicated. I've played it. I've seen the other game group play it with the game group folks, and they were all like talking about like, oh, this doesn't. And I was like, nope, I'm just going to keep it nice and simple. Thank you very much. So for me, that was also got played a lot. It's when we got it, we kept it out for a while and played it a bunch. So Cascadia is my number 4 from AEG.
Number 4.
Nice. It's such a great game, and I may have something to say about it in a pick or two. I'll let you know.
That's one of the ones that got away that we didn't get a chance to play, and I've seen a lot of people talk about it. So it's going to go in the short list of things that we need to check out.
Do we have a copy of that?
No, we don't have a copy, but we really enjoy Calico, and I like tile placement games.
We do.
I liked it better than Calico only because Calico for me, I don't normally have AP, but Calico gives me AP. And Cascadia just seems it's a little more fluid in the way that you place things, and I've never had any AP for that. So
okay,
agreed.
Nice. Ruel, number 4, my friend.
Number 4, Terraforming Mars Ares Expedition.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna just throw this out there. I want to hear the comments from folks, but I think this replaces Terraforming Mars for me. I love Terraforming Mars, but Ares Expedition does the exact same thing in a shorter amount of time, less setup, less cleanup, and it adds the Race for the Galaxy action selection to it. And I think it's just a brilliant combination of everything. I mean, I love Terraforming Mars. I mean, I still have my copy, but this is the one that's going to hit the table more often in the very near future. I think it's a winner all around. What they did with that action selection, I thought was just brilliant, and I absolutely love it, and that's why it's my number 4.
Yeah, I got to play that one, and I actually didn't really care for original Terraforming Mars. It wasn't that it was bad; it just it didn't catch me. But then I played Ares, and I said, okay, well, this is the version I definitely, if you want me to play, I'd jump in on that one. So it's great.
Yeah, like Terraforming Mars, the original, like the OG one, I would say it's more of a slow burn, especially if you don't have the Prelude expansion. It's like those first couple versions. Come on, you're doing nothing. It's just like one little thing. But Ares Expedition sort of cuts out a big chunk of that, and it's like let's get to the game. Let's just start playing, and stuff like that. You do lose a couple of things. There are things that they've taken out and streamlined, like some of the resources and stuff, but I think it's all for the better, and that's why I love it. And another one that has a solo mode, which I haven't cracked yet, but I'm sure I'll lose to it real soon.
I love it.
All right, Jimmy.
Okay, my number 4 is Fairy Tale Inn. Have you heard of this one? It
From
is
you.
Yeah, you were the one telling us
You
about
talk
this.
about it.
Yeah.
Sell me on it. I haven't heard about it yet.
So yeah, I was walking through my local game store and I saw this thing that looked like Connect 4. And I was like, well, no. And so I walked by and I just kept looking around. I said, well, I got to go back and see what this is about. So it literally has like the board like Connect 4 where you drop things in. But you're scoring points. So you're dropping in these tiles and then you're scoring points in all different kinds of ways. And to be honest, I can't remember what those are offhand specifically. You know, like there's a one that's all about who's adjacent to you. And then there's one about if it's in a diagonal line or if you have the most of the same character on a row. I think those, anyways, I can't remember what they are. But it is such a cool game. It is just such a smart idea. That is so simple. You're just choosing these tiles as they come out. You could buy more expensive ones if you want, and then you just drop them in. And there's something very satisfying, very childlike, remembering, you know, back as being a kid, and you drop that in and you score points. And it's great because it is only a 2-player game, which might not be a good selling point for some people. But just like Connect 4, you have that me versus you kind of across the table thing, and you drop it in. And it's easy to explain to kids, but it's engaging enough for me as an adult that I would play this game with anybody. I wouldn't just play this with my kids. The artwork's great. I can't remember. I don't think it was expensive. So
it was part of like one of Simon's $10 million campaigns, I believe.
Oh,
right?
Was it?
It was a Simon game. It's a Simon game, isn't it?
Yeah.
Fairy Tale Inn?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
is,
they put it on Kickstarter. I think it raised like $10 million because Simon only does $10 million Kickstarters, right? That's the only thing they do.
Wow, I totally missed
Eric's
this
bringing
one.
the salt. He's bringing the salt. Okay.
No, they release good games to retail.
It went off the rails.
They release good games to retail. That's my point.
Jimmy, we played a lot of this game too. And it's Connect 4 with special powers. And
exactly.
What's really cool that we liked about it is you get a bunch of these the fairy tale characters, but there's a different mix that you use in the bag every time. And so you're drawing out the different, like for the market. And as they come out, you're selecting what you want to take to then drop in on your side. So Jimmy's exactly right. Obviously, I played this with the kids, but I'd play this with adults, and it's a great gateway game because everyone can connect to Connect 4, and they have that memory of playing it, right? Yeah. And so you can be like, if you're looking to inch some people over, into gaming. This would be a really great game to have in your collection.
My only complaint is that it doesn't have that thing on the bottom to when you do the Connect 4 and they drop down. That's got to be like a patented thing or something. But I kept wanting to hit the button and make them all drop. But that's my number 4.
Oh, that's great.
My number 4 is Unsettled, and I think it will be popping up again soon,
hopefully.
But this is from Orange Nebula. It's a cooperative game. Orange Nebula designs just incredibly unique, incredible experiences. Unsettled is unlike anything I've ever played before. So you're explorers in space, you're landing on different planets, and there's different scenarios. Each planet is different. So we've done Winora, I think.
Winora,
is like the first one they tell you to do. It's like the spores and fungi.
Yeah. And then we did a water planet. I don't remember the name of that one.
They give you some kind of objective, and you're just trying to complete whatever that is. It's an incredible experience, and it's like one of those things where you discover as you go. So I don't want to say anything and ruin anything, but
sure,
it's fantastic.
Yeah. I'm not going to say anything because I'm going to talk about it later.
Because he might possibly speak later on it.
The thing I'd like to say about Orange Nebula is they are a company after my own heart. Because I think, as they design their projects and their games, the player experience is at like the forefront of everything that they're doing. And those are typically the games that's like really sing with me. And it's something that when we make our games, like that I really focus on is like, how are we making a player feel? Do they feel epic? Do they feel like they're doing something cool? And they do it they may do it the best. I don't know. Like they're unbelievable. So
that's cool. Yeah, I've never played that. I've never played anything by them, so I need to jump on that train, huh?
Yes, you should try it, Jimmy. Yeah.
what? Hold on.
Wait a second. This is a revelation.
You gotta play Vindication. Are you kidding me right now?
Yeah, I've never.
I hope Tom isn't
Jimmy,
watching this video.
You're fired. Like, go play Vindication.
All right.
You don't
Goodbye.
comment anymore until you go play Vindication.
You know what? I'm just
Okay,
going to
okay.
remove you from the video.
When we played Vindication,
Kick 'em out.
that was all Derek would talk about for a week. He
Oh
was
my
like
gosh.
calling people on the phone and talking to them for
So
like
good.
hours because he just played
Wow.
Vindication.
It was so
And it was
good.
like,
That
oh,
good.
are you still talking? He's like, yeah,
It is. It is.
This sounds life changing.
It's an
it's
experience.
It honestly kind of
It's an
is.
experience.
Come on, Jimmy.
Oh no, Tom's here, Jimmy.
Uh-oh.
Okay,
Sorry.
Derek, do you have a number 4?
No, of course I don't have a number 4. I yeeted that thing out.
Everything
Of
is
course
just
I have a
number
number
1
4.
for him.
Everything's
He's
a number 1. Listen, my whole list is number 1s. Anno 1800 from Cosmos. This is based on a game, a resource management video game, not necessarily civilization themed, because you are strictly staying to your own country for most of it and trying to build up your own infrastructure and, make your civilization, like your little country, better. So I really appreciate that aspect of the game. And Martin Wallace did this version and knocked it out of the park. This is the only game, one of 2 games I took to Origins with me. I actually took it out of the box, threw it in. Lizzie helped me pack it so I could get it into my luggage because I had to bring it and play with some of my friends. And it was so good.
It's
Lizzie
a
and I
great
played
experience.
it a bunch of times, and it plays pretty quickly. That's one of the things I like about it is players' turns are pretty quick. So it goes around the table. Now the game itself is pretty long because there's a lot of things happening and different in-game triggers and such. But the way that you use your hand management and the resource management, it all just sings together really well. And it's a good game.
It is. It's fabulous.
This is another one that I've heard a ton of great things about. Haven't been able to play it yet. Just a little quick cross promotion over on the Rado Runs Through channel. Rado and I are doing our top 100 games of all time, and Anno 1800 just made it on his list already.
Okay.
Wow.
And I'm a Martin Wallace fan, so I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. Yeah, and it uses worker placement too because you've got different stages of workers, and then it's got a really cool worker upgrading system where you're trying to, but you don't want to. You need to diversify. You can't just have all of high society, because if you have all high society, then you're gonna need the workers.
You can't get those lower
the
resources.
resources
are needed to make the bigger ones.
Yeah, so it's a really cool, delicate infrastructure. So
it's great.
Nice.
James, number 3.
Number 3 for me is Ankh. Another Simon game on the old list, or come on, I'm sorry, whatever.
Come on, oh sorry,
whatever the name of their company is. This one, I really enjoy what Eric Lang and the design team went for on this. Right, they didn't. This isn't we're just going to reskin something that we like. They went for something really ambitious with the whole melding into the two last place players joining together and forming together. I thought at first that kind of put me off. I was like, I don't know, that sounds weird. But then I was like, well, now I'm curious. I just want to play it to see maybe it's so much better. We've enjoyed it every time because typically if you're playing Rising Sun and you're in 4th place, going into some of the last rounds, you're not going to win. You rarely got the Hail Mary set up to really come back and win. So I think it does a really great job of letting those last 2 players have the opportunity to really challenge the people that are in 1st and 2nd and make them really think. But it's so versatile. There's so many different ways to set the game up. There's I've played it I think 5 or 6 times at this point. And we've played it with the expansion material. Gotta play it with the expansion material. That makes the game. The Pharaohs, what is it? Pharaohs and Politics? Politics and Pharaohs. Those politic cards make the game. 100%. Don't even think about playing the base game. Just forget it. So if you like minis on a map, this is a game you have to at least try. I know these games are expensive and they take up a lot of shelf space, so maybe you can't own them all. But because it's doing something super unique, I think it's worth trying.
I love that mechanism, the melding thing, right? It's to me like the two last, but I think to me that's like the ultimate catch-up mechanism, right? Like, you can literally be in last place, team, somehow, with the other player who's in last and somehow have a shot at victory. I think that's awesome. And I'm curious to see if we see that in other games in the next few years, because it's, Eric Lang's a pretty influential designer. Who knows? Maybe we'll see it again.
It's funny, I've seen a lot of, obviously I read a lot of comments on like BGG threads about it. I think most people prefer to just be beaten and then
really
join up with other people. There's something, I think there's some sort of like feeling that a lot of players can't get over of like, it's not cheating, but it feels weird to have to like be forced to team up when you weren't teamed up with somebody before. I don't know. Okay. There's some weird emotional, psychological things going on with it that I think some people are totally okay with, and some people just literally can't get over.
That's interesting, because I find myself in last place many times when I play games, and so I would like to see that get that shot right to come back. I think it'd be
right. I really want to try. Ankh is something I haven't tried yet, but I really want to. I've heard really good things about it from multiple different people, and it looks great. Right, the table presence for their games is pretty incredible.
Yeah, speaking of last place, I played Merchants of the Dark Road last night and just got thumped. Like, I did not get it. I had a ton of coins, but then they're like, "Oh yeah, that low prestige part."
That was my first game, and I was like, "Oh look, I'm doing so well." No, I'm not.
I'm not going to set a record for like the biggest gap between the two things, and they're like, "You totally didn't understand how this game worked, did you?"
It's funny. I had a ton of prestige and like not as many coins, but I love that balancing act, right? To me, it reminds me of like a great like Reiner Knizia game. You want to have everything sort of high and not just focus on one. And I mean, I lost too, but it was a lot of fun in that game.
This is what happens, right? Gamers can't we're here to talk about 2020 games. We're like, well, guess what I played last night?
Will it be on the 2022 list?
I don't know. Ruel, why don't you give us your number 3?
Number 3, this one surprised me. I don't know if it'll surprise anyone else, but I was very pleasantly surprised by this game. My number 3 is Kubitos from AEG. I'm a John D. Clare fan. I love his games, and this one, the simplest way to explain it, it's Quacks of Quedlinburg, the dice version, and it's literally you're building up dice. It's this funky little. And you know why it surprised me? I looked at the box cover. I wasn't really in. It looked like SpongeBob SquarePants.
The little cheese guy,
the cheesehead.
Yeah, I was like, what is this? But then it turned out to be a really fun race game, and it's a race / bag building game. You're rolling dice every turn. You're rolling like literally a fistful of dice every time, which I love. I'm a sucker for dice. I love the tactical sensation of just chucking dice. And each turn you can upgrade dice or you can trash dice and stuff. It's very if you know bag builders or deck builders, you know how to play it. But just the combination of dice racing, I absolutely love it. And the fact that is like every dice you can change up, right? Some play differently from game to game. They have different conditions. Like the faces can change meanings. It's such a blast, and we played it a ton this year, and that's why it's my number 3, Kubitos.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, and the variable tracks too, like the maps to flip over.
That's right.
There's so many
so many different.
There's so many colored dice, and then each colored dice, there's multiple powers that you can give to it. Lots
of variety.
Endlessly replayable.
AEG is fantastic. What they put out every year is it's pretty great.
They're knocking it out of the park. And again, I'm such a big fan of John D. Clare. I mean, I see his name on the box like Insta play. I
gotta get it.
Okay, that's our number 3. What about you, Jimmy?
My number 3, James has already said, it's Red Rising. So I just enjoyed the game. I did a review on it earlier this year, and it actually just kind of got a medium rating for me. We do a buy it, play it, hate it on my channel, and I gave it a play it rating. And then I played it a lot, and then I just loved it. And so it really did. It kind of just rose up on the list, and it got higher. And so I don't know, everything that James said. I read the first 3 books and just fell in love with the content of what the story and the lore of it all. And then when I play the game, I get sucked into it. So every time I see it on the shelf, I'm thinking, yeah, we could play another round of that. Put it on the table, and it plays easy, like he said. And so it's a good game, and I enjoy the whole trying to get the best hand by the end, and just the pain of trying to get rid of something and hoping something comes back around. It's just a lot of fun. I enjoy it.
It's really like it's Fantasy Realms. If you're familiar with Fantasy Realms, the card game, it's like Fantasy Realms on steroids, right? Because it adds a board presence and some resources that you can manipulate.
So I do like Fantasy Realms a lot. Actually, we have Red Rising on the floor down there. We should try it.
We do. Someone loaned it to us.
We should give it a shot.
But I'm like one of those. I'm a book person, so I'm like, I haven't read the book, and everyone's like, it doesn't matter. I'm like,
yeah,
but I haven't read the book.
I had to do it. That's what I had to do. I had to read the first one before I could crack it open.
But it's a series, and then I get sucked into a series, and I'm like, that's so much commitment.
Yeah, it'll take you a week.
Easy read.
I have like 10 books on hold. I have 4. No. I have 7 books out from the library currently across my different platforms. That's a lot of like.
Yeah, that's a lot. Why don't you tell us your number 3?
My number 3 is also an AEG game. It is Whirling Witchcraft.
Yes.
So this is a super fun where you each get like a witch power, and then you are crafting spells, and they give you cubes. So there's a bunch of different colored cubes, and you are passing them to players around the table, and you're trying to fill up their cauldron, because when you fill up someone else's cauldron, it bubbles over and they lose, and that ends the game. So you really are paying attention to what's going to fill up each cauldron. So you're trying to use the ones that you're given to make the ones that's going to cause theirs to overflow. So it's a really unique mechanic in that way, and that you're not focusing on what you have and what you can do, and you're trying to figure out what's going to ruin someone else's game.
Yeah, like or you're trying to
make red for him. He needs more red.
Right, or you're trying to figure out like how you're trying to get,
or you're just playing catch up, and you're like, okay, I need to get rid of all of these white cubes. How am I going to do that? What spells can I use? It's fantastic. It starts out really quick, like from the get go.
Yeah, we've had a lot. We've played this one a lot, and it's
And
probably one of our most played in 2021.
There's little like cauldrons that you pass around that are so cute, and they're such a great addition to the game.
Yeah, I love it. It could have easily made my list. I love it. The way I learned it and the way it was explained to me, I always remember this. They explained to me as this is basically that classic I Love Lucy episode with the chocolates. And that's what you're doing. You're just trying to force all the chocolates onto someone else.
That's
a good analogy.
Right?
Yes, that's exactly what you're doing.
I mean, it's such a quick engine builder, and yet you're trying to wreck everyone else at the same time, which it's like is a take that game, but it doesn't feel mean at all. It's just part of the game. And it's a wonderful design. Again, we're talking to AEG is just killing it these days. It's a fantastic game.
Yeah,
I love it. Yeah.
All right, my number 3 is Mind Management. This is a game that we've played quite a few times. We got to check this out a few years ago, and it was on Kickstarter. It's actually back on Kickstarter now. So if you have not had a chance to try it out, I highly recommend it. It is, to me, the best hidden movement game that I've played. Because I've played most, if not I play most of the hidden movement games, because I really like the mechanic, like the genre, but they take so long sometimes. Like I think Letters from Whitechapel seems to be like the one that's kind of like not as long when you're looking at like Fury of Dracula, Lord of the Ring. Like there's a bunch of those. But for me, Mind Management, it's like, and if we're playing 2-player game, 45 to 60 minutes. And it's
for us, like
well, I'm just saying,
minutes.
if you're playing 2 players, you're in and you're out, and you get a really, really great experience out of it. Wow. The way that the I'm trying to remember the names of the people, but the secret agents, the way that they interact and move is just it's very interesting and unique in the way that you have to program your movement to try to recruit as many agents as they can, and you're trying to stop them before they can do that. And man, it's just great. And they've got this really cool unlocking system where depending on if you're winning or losing, you get to unlock things out of these boxes that can either help or hinder.
So it's a little bit like
so it's got some nice campaign and some nice catch-up mechanisms included in it. So it's very, very fun. I love it.
I remember seeing Sin and Jay up at Shucks 2019.
Yeah.
I don't remember. This was in the before times. And they were there showing that game off in its prototype form. And I remember them talking about how excited they were. And so it was really cool to see Shut Up and Sit Down cover it, and it really get a lot of attention. And now, which has turned into a reason to relaunch it and get it out wider to the world. So good for them.
They've already made more money on this Kickstarter than they did the first time.
And he said he decided last week. He's like, "Oh, we need to do another Kickstarter." And so a week later,
yeah, Jay and Sid, they're awesome.
Like, wow.
I'm just really, really excited for them. And like I said, if you get a chance to play this, or you need to go try it out
for sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
James, Dose.
Number 2. And this was my number 2 and number 1 were like which one do I have to pick? I have to pick one. The Crew Mission Deep Sea.
Okay.
If you like the Crew to begin with, you can literally throw it in the trash and get this version. You don't need the first one anymore because this is how much they improved the first game with this version of the game. So Mission Deep Sea, what it really does is it has a deck of these cards, and they put a point system on how difficult your tasks are going to be. And so you might have like 5 points worth of difficulty, and it'll tell you to get a 4 and a 1, or a 3 and 2 1s. And so as you lay those out, they give you much different things that you like, layers of difficulty that you have to do to pull off the next mission. It's brilliant from a design standpoint. It's absolutely brilliant. I've told any designer, I'm like, you need to play this. You need to play both of them and just see. Yeah. You can see how their brains went. Oh, there's a much better way to do this. It's more intuitive, more interactive, more dynamic, and it just kills it. And we have, like, it's always one of those, like, at the end of game night, we're like, well, let's get a couple rounds in because we're on, like, mission 15 or 17, and we end up doing like an hour's worth of mission. It only take like 10 minutes to try, right? And you're like, all right, we missed that one, do it again. All right, we got it. Let's move on to the next one. It's just like watching the previews on Netflix. You just keep watching,
right?
Just keep playing.
You never pick a movie.
Still there.
Are you? Yeah, you're still there. I'm gonna borrow your phone. What was that called again, James? I got to put that on order now. Mission Deep Sea. We don't have that one. All right. Well, that's gonna be it.
Isn't it?
That's gonna be a purchase.
It's the Crew Space 9. I don't know.
Right.
I keep messing that up.
We're gonna be buying that one.
Yeah.
I love the Crew. The first one. It's so good.
Same. I was just gonna say that, Derek. Like, I love the Crew, and I have Mission Deep Sea over here on the shelf of opportunity.
Okay.
It's gonna have to come out of there real soon. But anyways, my number 2 is a game that my friends Derek and Lizzie introduced me to when we met up last year. It is Furnace. And
hey,
what I mean, I knew from that when we met up there, and you all taught me that game. I was like, this is immediately one of my top 5 of the year. It's just it's that wonderful bout and tension, right? Every round, where am I going to place? Where am I going to place my bid? And then the added thing that makes it brilliant is, like, I don't really want that. I just want those resources. So I'm hoping someone puts a different number there. And then when you eventually get it, and you eventually get hosed, which I learned real quickly, it's like, oh no, I didn't want that. And then you have to find a way to make your engine happen. It's such a great game. And what I love about it, every single turn has that tension, and yet the game plays in like 45 minutes.
Yeah,
give me those type of, I love how fast it plays. I had Michelle, my wife, join me for a game the other day, and again with her, she was instant love. So it was a big hit. That's why it's my number 2 of last year, Furnace.
And it's only like 4 turns, and you're like,
you
four
rounds.
possibly
Literally,
get anything done. You're like, this is not going to work. And then you finish it, and you're like,
wow,
that was a lot of game for 4 rounds.
For 4 rounds,
absolutely.
Yeah, it's so good. You'll probably see that on some other lists throughout, but
other
nice.
Other top,
probably not James's.
Probably not James's, but
I have no idea which.
No, you liked it.
Yeah, I thought you had played it. The way you were reacting, I was like, does he not know how it works?
No, yeah, I liked it.
I love the auction. The auction for those cards.
Yeah, the bidding is so clever. Yeah,
the bidding is great. Jimmy, 2.
Number 2 is well, I guess I'll preface this with, it is amazing to me that where I'm at kind of in my game loving stage right now. I went from loving like Ticket to Ride, then I went real heavy with my friends, and now I feel like I'm coming back to this middle range. something that's been said a whole bunch is it hits the table a lot. And it's easy to teach. People ask for it like that. This is the kind of zone that I'm in right now. And so this one definitely hits all of those. It's an abstract strategy, Garinto by Grant Gamers Guild. And it's just so good. It's so easy to teach. This is a tile or a tile choosing game, I guess. And so you put all the tiles in the bag, you lay them out, and then you're moving one from the edge and placing it in the grid. And then based off of what color that tile is, you get to choose around it in a certain way. But then it kind of builds. So however many of those colored tiles, I'm getting lost in the explanation, but you end up taking more and more tiles as the game goes along. And so it gets very satisfying in trying to figure out what you're going to move. And then each round points score in a different way. And then at the end of the game, you score points on 2 specific colors. Anyways, it's just super easy to teach, super easy to play. And it has hit the table a lot. And my family, which is definitely a medium weight family game group, they ask for it all the time. So it's going to be high up on my list. I really Garinto.
It's solid. It was one of probably one of the best abstract strategy games I played in the last few years when we got a chance to play it. It actually is in my top 10 just a little bit. It was so close. It was right on the edge for me. I was like, when I was trying to sort all that, but it's a great game. And if you're into abstract strategy games, because that's the best thing about them, like the complexity level for teaching, it's not bad. And then once you get in there, though, the depth of the game is what keeps you coming back.
Jimmy, there's something you said there that I think resonates, at least with me. And I think it's that arc of I think the last 2 years have been so stressful and so rough. Like I've needed my board gaming to be a warm, comfy blanket. And so I haven't gravitated to big rule books or complicated games because it's just I need something that's going to relax me. And I've played my most played game of the last 16, 18 months is 100% Patchwork. Because if I go up to Stella and I'm like, hey, you want to play Patchwork? She's like, yep. And we play Patchwork. So, I think at least for me, when you were talking about that, it was almost a little bit of an epiphany. Same, right? Because I was really enjoyed playing heavier games there for a little while. But then I just think the stress of the last 2 years, I've reverted back to just give me my warm, comfy blanket.
Right.
Yeah. Just to echo that, James, I was going to say the exact same thing when Jimmy brought that up. I think of the same thing where, a couple of years ago, I'm playing a lot of heavier games because I can meet with my gaming group on a regular basis. But now with the pandemic and everything, the majority of the plays is, with my wife and our daughter, and, they like more casual stuff. And it really gave me it just re-showed me, it gave me a new appreciation for Gateway and Gateway Plus games. There's some excellent games out there. And, I do have, the Twilight Imperium expansion because I got to play it one time this last year. That's the heavy of the heavies for me. But I found so much joy and so much, James has said, comfort in those games. Patchwork, that's a classic. But I find myself, doing the same thing where I'm coming back. You start with Ticket to Ride your gateways, and you get to the heavier stuff. But then it's let's come back a little bit. Stuff like Furnace or Kubitos. But it resonates with me as well, Jimmy and James.
Yeah. Same here. Midweight vibes, man. I love them. Give me those midweight card games and stuff. I love it.
Yes.
45, 30, 45 minutes. That's a sweet spot.
That's sweet spot. That's right.
That's a sweet spot of gaming. What was your number 2?
My number 2 fits in this light medium perfectly.
Wow. Look, that was perfect. We did that for you.
No one is going to be shocked that this is on my list. Kohaku from 25th Century.
Yes.
Yeah.
Love this game.
I love that game.
It's so peaceful. So we have the acrylic game.
Yes.
I know that they came out, they had to reprint it, and they did just cardboard, but the acrylic with the fish and the beautiful flowers.
So good.
It's just a gorgeous game. It's very simple. You take 2 tiles, 1 fish and 1 something else, and you can play anywhere. You just build this beautiful koi pond, and it's so relaxing. It's so satisfying. It's gorgeous. It's one of my favorite games ever. We played it so many times. This is one of the games that we played.
This was probably, I want to say, this was our 20 plus time of the year game.
Yeah.
And I shared it with I honestly had probably sold 20 plus copies of it.
We bought one for our family.
And I posted about it, and everyone's like, "Oh yeah, I went and bought it," and I was like,
"Yeah."
Yeah, I took it to game night, and then I think every household bought the game after they like midway through. They had phones out, right? Like, where can I get them?
Yeah,
You know, that's a good sign, right?
It is.
Yeah,
It's
it really
fantastic.
is.
Yeah, and it's one of those games that's unassuming. Like you see it on the shelf, you see the tiles, and you just don't. I mean, normally when you look at a game, you're like, oh, there's some depth in that. I think that's going to be great. But even when you just read this synopsis on the back or whatever it's called, you're just like, I don't know. But once you play it, then you're like, yep.
Then you're hooked. Yeah.
Yeah. It's and those acrylic tiles, like, oh gosh. When you're playing the game, you know it's special. But then after you're done, like looking at your koi pond, it's just
you can take a picture of it.
Yeah, totally Instagram worthy. Yeah,
yes, for sure. It's just the best. We could just talk about it forever, but we'll let you go with your number 2.
I agree with you. I know you do.
My
number 2 is Final Girl from Van Ryder Games. So I have to preface this with I'm not much of a solo gamer. And I'm not much of a horror fan. However, I gave this a shot, and I am extremely glad I did because I like Hostage Negotiator. And I thought, they're going to revamp that. There's going to be a new re-implementation. And I actually got to see it at Tantrum Con back in like 2019, I want to say.
No, it was
before
2020.
Right before the world collapsed.
Yeah.
We got to see a prototype of it from Evan Derrick, and it really just blew me away with what was happening and just the way the systems were working. And, I've seen a lot of people complaining about it because there's like bad dice rolls, but it is in its purest form a hand management game. And the hand management mitigates your bad rolls and allows you like freedom of like trying to figure out the puzzle of how to save these civilians who are being dumb and running towards the guy who's trying to unalive them. But it's a really good game. It was just back on Kickstarter for new stuff. And I really enjoyed it. So it got me into solo gaming a little bit because now I'm intrigued to try more solo games.
Nice. Welcome.
Yes, welcome to the club. I love solo gaming. I think it's important too that, I love seeing more designers, adding on or, creating solo games, but especially the last couple of years, we haven't been able to meet in our gaming groups. So I see a lot more of my friends. We talk about, hey, what games are you soloing these days? And there are a lot of times there's variants that you can find on BGG, but a game like Final Girl, or you mentioned the Hostage Negotiator, another great one that is specifically for solo gaming. I love seeing it. I think it's a great
Warp's
thing.
Edge, and I think Renegade has Requiem Run or Rec Run is on Kickstarter right now. Yeah, I'm backing that one because I really love Warp's Edge.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. All right, James. Now
Let's land it. Let's land the plane.
Has been what you've all been waiting for. This is it. Number one.
For me, this was a big surprise for me because the theme on initial is not something that I normally would gravitate toward, even though I'm a nerd, whatever. But Christina was like so excited about this game, and she's like, "You got to play it. We've got to play it." And then I saw it, and I'm like, "Okay, I guess it's Genotype."
Oh, okay.
It is, pundit squares and scientists studying peas, and the genotypes within pea culture, and like
James, this is right up your alley, man.
But the game is so clever. And I've tried some of the other Genius games where they're trying to teach you some science while you're playing a game, and they've all been fine, nothing wrong with them. But this one, I don't even care about the theme's fine, but the game is so good. It's placement and it's tight, like it's super, super tight, and it makes you feel really clever in several different ways. So it was one that I'm glad I got over my initial whatever that was and played it, because then there were several more times that throughout the year, like we would have a game night or whatever. I'm like, what can we play? And I'm like, you want to play Genotype again? And Christina was just like, she was just like so proud. She's like, I did that. I put that on the plate. So my number one last year was Genotype.
Way cool.
I like it. Now, I've never played it, but you got me interested, so I guess that's going to be a purchase. So,
and for all of our science nerds, it's got pundit squares.
There you go. There you go. Learn about peas.
That's what I've been missing.
Like, subtly Googling pundit squares.
Awesome.
Is this like a mangosteen thing? Are those real? Are these real words that you're using right now?
Well, in 5th or 6th grade, we learned all about pundit squares, but we probably forgot. So
long gone.
All right, Ruel, your number one.
My number one, it was touched upon earlier. This was my most played game, especially in my household. It's Cascadia. This Randy Flynn designed, Beth Sobel art. It's a tile laying game, and it is absolutely fantastic. And what James had mentioned earlier, you have the family variant, then you have the other scoring variants. I mean, there's a ton of replayability, and there's these. I think we're talking about how these like sort of dual tile laying games. So you have not only a tile, but you also have a token that you're placing at the same time on different tiles, and it's really neat. They've done that on the game Overboss a year ago. They also did it here, and Calico has it as well. But I think for my money, this is the one for me because it's where Calico felt really constrictive. This seems like it's a little more open world. Like, okay, I'm going to build my habitat this way. We're not on the same board. We can build it the way we want. But the combination of like set collection and the spatial puzzle to it, I mean, it's absolutely fantastic.
And Beth Sobel art.
Beth Sobel.
Yes.
Art. It's just,
that's all you got to say.
Yes.
Again, I see Beth Sobel, I'm like, I'm all in. But it was my favorite game of last year, and that's Cascadia.
Nice.
Wow.
That's one that we got to pick up.
It.
Yeah, they talk. You sold me on it, so I need to try it because I love Calico.
And for solo gamers, there's a really easy solo mode that you can implement as well. And they even have it online. You can play solo for free. There's you can easily.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, Cascadia and Calico. There's a third one in the series coming out, Verdant, which is probably the most. Yeah, that one's probably the most puzzly of the three.
Sweet.
But I enjoy all three, but Cascadia is my choice out of the trilogy. But
yeah. And Cascadia with the tile placement games, like I love Calico and Cascadia, and I feel like I don't know if Cascadia is going to Board Game Arena, but I would love to see a game like that on Board Game Arena because that type of thing is really easy to do on that system. So I don't know if I've been on a huge Board Game Arena kick recently, and they've got a great library of games over there. Really impressed. It is fantastic. I don't know if they have any plans to put it there, but hopefully they do because it should be played by more people. It's the best game of 2021, folks. There you go. Jimmy, what's the best game of 2021 for you?
Okay, James is going to love this, but let me set the stage for you first. So, I love this game so much. It's a solo game, and so what I did this the other day, and it was just a total vibe. But I came upstairs where I'm at right now, put a record on, lit a little candle, had the music going, and then I played this game, and I just enjoyed it so much. My son came upstairs and looked at what I was doing and said, "Dad, what are you doing?" And it looked just like work to him, but Hadrian's Wall is my number one game. And I totally get it. It is such a, like, it looks like my friend called it the spreadsheet, the board game, and that's all that it is. Just and but I don't know. There's something about that. We played this at the Gamers Ranch, and that was the first time I got introduced to it. Yes. And I just loved it. I loved moving the little meeples back and forth, and I get this guy, and then I turn him in, and then I get this guy instead. And I just love exploring all the stuff. I'll be totally honest. I don't even understand how a few of the tracks even work yet. Like I've gotten to some of them, and like I'm doing the thing down at the bottom, and then I'm building the theater up at the top. But I just like exploring this game and just figuring it out. And so I've played it a ton now. And I love that you can play it multiplayer. It is almost seamless to play it solo. And like I said, I get into that whole vibe where I just kind of turn some music on, get in the zone, and I'm just checking stuff off. And the other day I got distracted, had to go downstairs for something, and then I just came back up and just jumped right back in. I flipped over my card, kept going, and it's just a great. It's a very chill, relaxing game to me. And I know that your brain can melt on it too, but I don't know. I just really enjoy it. So that's my number one of the year.
Nice. It's a good pick. What's your number one of the year?
It has been mentioned before.
Have I played it?
I don't know, babe. It is Mind Management.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, and
I'm just going to preface it. I know you can talk. I've never seen her so smitten over a game than Mind Management. Legitimately.
I do not like what is it, like the high, like whatever.
Hidden Movement.
We would play Letters from Whitechapel, and I would just like sit back because like there were so many alpha gamers, and like if I was not playing Jack, I was miserable, and I was like, I don't
You
know.
got to the point where you're like, I'm not playing unless you let me be the killer.
I was
the unaliver.
Like, if you guys want to play, that's fine. Like my friend had a kid, I was like, I'll go watch the baby in the other room. You guys like play whatever. Like I'm not into it at all. So when we got this game for Kickstarter, I was like, okay, that's fine. Like we can play it. It'll be fine. Our most played Kickstarter prototype ever.
Yep.
Hands down. Like nothing even comes close. Anyone that we could get to come to our house, we're like, come play this game. They all immediately backed it. It's fantastic. It's streamlined. It's just like the perfect game. It's so good.
For me, you always play
so
the secret,
I do.
agent, and so it's hard. She's super good at it, so it's tough for me, but it's a good challenge.
Well, I have a great poker face, and Derek is just always like, I know you were there, and I'm gonna like track you down. You have to have been there, here, and I'm like,
and she just laughs.
I'm like, okay. I just let him believe whatever he wants, and at the end, he's always like, show me your route. He's like, show me how you did that, because I don't believe you. And then I'm like, well, I went here, and then I went there, and then you thought I went here, but I actually, and he's like, oh, so close. And there's been times where he's been like on top of me and like around, and I'm just like not saying anything.
So that's
I'm,
the
like,
cool thing about this is that
I'm just
you can actually share the same space. Like no other hidden movie games like that, where you can share the space. And unless I have deduced she's there, I have to take the action to arrest her. So it's pretty tough, but it's a great challenge.
It's fantastic.
See, y'all, everybody keeps saying how great it is, and I've been holding back because I've played some hidden movement games, and I'm like, yeah, I get the feel of that. Yeah, I've done that a few times, but I didn't know if I really needed another one. But y'all keep
this is the only one that I have in my collection at this point. Wow. So I sold Fury of Dracula.
You did.
Like we've gotten rid of everything except for this one. So until another one comes along, this is it.
This is all I'll play.
Yeah,
nice.
Okay.
Derek, bring it home.
All right, take it
us
home. My number one game of 2021 is Unsettled from Orange Nebula. It's a masterpiece to me, and I know some people it's hit or miss. Not every game is for everybody, but for this sings to me in no other way than other game has. The narrative, the way that you cooperate, and I'm not a huge fan of cooperatives, but the way that this forces players to kind of like, it's an introspective look at like how groups manage. And I love, like with Vindication, it was like a self-study and like redemption and like vindication. And like there was a lot of like personal growth in that story. With this one, it's more about group trust. Like there could be situations that happen that cause you to flip a tile where now you are like standoffish, or you're, it just changes the group dynamic as situations arise. The fact that all the planets are asymmetrical, have multiple scenarios, and it's not a campaign. So it's all self-contained in that planet. The writing, I'm sure, Tom, if you're watching this, if you did some of the writing for this, you had to have, because there's some...
The narrative is amazing.
The narrative is fantastic. The first one, I think it's Winora, where you've got the plants. There's some subtle innuendos in there. I was like, whoa, I was not ready for that.
I was like, I wish, like, what is going on? I kept like looking at Derek. I was like, are they serious right now? It is an experience for sure.
But honestly, there's no better way that I want to unalive myself in a board game than playing Unsettled. So
I just love Derek. You found so many ways to squeeze Unalive into this.
It's kind of my thing. It's all because of TikTok. Because you can't say that word. But no, seriously, it's a great game. They're coming back to Kickstarter in this year. End of the month. This month, February 22nd.
Some new planets and surprises and stuff. So
I cannot wait for the new planets. I can't wait to find new ways to.
To what? I don't know
to
what
not
we're gonna
survive.
Say. There's a little Luna that like.
Then there's this little robot that helps you, and the group can like.
And Derek painted all of them like immediately.
I did paint them.
He came in and he
actually
was like, "Stop everything! I need to paint these."
That was the fastest game to paint that I've ever done. Like game came painted like within 24 hours.
Yeah.
So it was pretty.
Wow.
I was pretty excited about it because we wanted to play and I wanted to take pictures.
And
of
Derek
Band of
would
Minis.
not play.
I'm
if
super
they were
extra.
not
You know,
painted.
it's
Shocking no
whatever.
one.
You know, it is what it is. Well, folks, thank you so much for watching with us. Like I said, we will be posting this top 5 and actually a top 10 of all of our picks. We just wanted to make sure we got at least our top 5 here in this video. You'll be able to find this on the Board Game Spotlight Instagram, Twitter, and our Facebook page. So if you're not
Dice Tower
following,
West. Come
that's
see
right.
me at Dice Tower West.
James,
Come
you
play
guys,
us.
Ruel,
I'll be there. Yes.
Come
there
find
you
us.
go.
We'll be playing
Yep.
Power Blades 2 and Wonderland's War
Yes.
because those are the number 1 and number 2 games of next year. I
Yeah.
might be biased.
Well, I mean, of this year, but 2022. Yeah.
Because we're
But
a
next
little
year's
late
list.
getting this
I-
list
what,
out.
what is time? I don't
We
even
are
know.
a little late.
Right.
It doesn't
Yeah.
matter.
Exactly.
But yeah, please go check out Title Blades 2. Super excited for that game. It's phenomenal what the team's done with that one.
It's all right.
You know, it's decent. It's decent. All right, everybody. I don't have anything else. Anybody want to sign off? What do you got? Any other words before we break? I can't believe we kept this to an hour. That's what I'm saying.
It's incredible.
Nope. Yeah.
Yeah, we did good.
Yeah.
You
We
did
did
good.
Kudos
Pat
to
yourself
us.
on the
You did
back.
You did good, Pig. You did good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Well, thanks again for your time, and we will see you on the internet. Happy gaming. Bye,
Bye.
everybody.
Later.
Bye, y'all.